Alrighty, good morning, everyone. This is meteorologist Parker Beasley here with an update on Tropical Storm Debby out there. Let's go ahead and add my face cam so you guys can see me. Good morning to everyone watching and tuning in. I hope you're doing well on this Thursday, August 8th. All right, so a couple of things. We're going to spend about 10 to 15 minutes here breaking down what is currently going on with Debby, and you'll see me look back and forth as I check multiple things. I've got updates from the National Weather Service over here. I'm looking at the graphic that you see on your screen to my right, and then I'm controlling the stream in front of me. So if I'm looking around, that's why I'm doing so. I'm trying to get the latest information so that way I can relay it to you at home, the viewer. All right, so a couple things right off the bat. Debby is to our south. We're starting to see some rain build into parts of south side. Roanoke City just saw an impressive little rain shower build through. These little areas here, these little green polygons are flood warnings. So these were issued by the National Weather Service yesterday, just in preparation for areas that are prone to flooding. So the city of Roanoke, along the Roanoke River and downtown areas, obviously prone to flooding. We've seen that in prior events. Pittsylvania County and Franklin County right along the Smith Mountain Lake area, and then in and along the Dan River from Danville all the way through South Boston. That area is also susceptible to flooding. So a lot going on to our south. Lots and lots of colors happening right now. We see this blinking red area. What is that? Emergency flash flood warning in Robeson, North Carolina, also for Bladen County, North Carolina. These light blue polygon areas, flash flood warnings. So you can see them basically taking up all of central and eastern North Carolina, as well as parts of South Carolina at this time. Tropical storm warning still in effect for the coastal areas. I'd imagine this would expire rather soon. This says expires in 6 days, but I would imagine it expires before the end of our Thursday. Then over here, we actually have a couple of tornado warnings in effect. We've got one here for Pitt, North Carolina, one up here for Franklin, North Carolina, Wilson, North Carolina, and Nash, North Carolina. Something that we've seen here within the last couple of hours is the tornado threat. We've seen that go up for the past couple of hours. So I'm going to play a loop here. And let's actually switch over the radar to Raleigh so that way we get a better view. We've got the warnings on. Here are the tornado warnings popping up. You see the areas of purple. Those are confirmed tornadoes. So we've had at least 2 or 3 of those in between the Raleigh and Greenville area. This is a loop over the last 12 hours. So something that I talked about this morning on 10 News at 5 and at 6 was the tornado threat included with this landfalling system. Usually, the tornado threat within a tropical system exists within the north and eastern quadrant. So center of rotation is somewhere down here in North Carolina. So let's label that. If we were to draw an axis this way on the Y and X axis, the area where we're most likely going to see the tornado threat is right in around here. And that's exactly where we're seeing it this morning, as we are still dealing with 4 active tornado warnings across North Carolina. So just a little bit of a heads up of what's to come. There is this gigantic mess to our south, lots of flash flood warnings, come and going tornado warnings that are very spontaneous. They can pop up very quickly. They can be long-lived. They can be short-lived. I will say the majority of landfalling tropical systems, they don't often have high-end tornadoes embedded in them. So the majority of the time, or at least my time back in Florida, we had EF1s, EF0s, and the occasional EF2 tornado with landfalling systems. So although the tornado threat is not super high, we'll likely see a couple of spin-ups in and around central and potentially southwestern Virginia. All right, let's drop into some of the other currents. Wind gusts as of now, Stewart spot we're seeing the windiest conditions, 33-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Floyd at 36. Roanoke, I woke up this morning at about 2:45. I was walking my dog, and the first thing I noticed was the humidity. It's very tropical outside. I also noticed the wind gust. So we're going to be dealing with this wind all day long. If you're traveling along I-81 or I-77, just be mindful that you may have to grip the steering wheel with both hands as you are traveling today. Let's talk about the latest track issued by the National Hurricane Center. This was released at 8 a.m. about 8 minutes ago. Pressure now up 1 millibar. So that means the storm is weakening. However, the winds are still maximum sustained at 50 miles per hour. We are anticipating that this storm continues to weaken. You see that little westward movement there before going off towards the northeast, and then eventually downgrading and dying off into a tropical depression. Tropical depressions are when winds are anywhere from 0 to 38 miles per hour, and tropical storms are 39 to 74, and then everything above 75 miles per hour is considered a hurricane. So if you remember, Debby was moving at about 3-4 miles per hour yesterday. It's now up to 7 miles per hour, moving not northeast, but now northwest. And that's important. As this system continues to pick up speed, we're going to talk about that increase in the tornado threat, because when you add forward momentum on top of the winds circulating around the storm, you just add shear or spin within that northeastern quadrant of the storm. Let's have a look at Futurecast here. Here's a look at 9 a.m. Again, the bulk of the moisture is still going to be slowly moving off towards the north as this system is moving 7 miles per hour. We notice by 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, a lot of the Roanoke Valley dealing with this heavy rainfall at this time. As we continue to go forward in time, the center of Debby looks to go right over top of the Roanoke Valley, if not just to the east over parts of Southside. But I do believe we will see the center of circulation of Debby either enter just over top of Roanoke or out towards the east, towards Lynchburg, which means after all this rain falls that we're anticipating, that means the wind threat goes up. So what happens when we have, potentially flash flooding and the ground is saturated, it can't hold any more water, and it's soaking all the roots and it's loosening up the tree roots. Then we have wind gusts coming through, maybe 30, 35 miles per hour. Then trees start to fall over. So that becomes a concern later tonight into tomorrow morning as we will start to deal with the center of circulation of Debby. After that, a cold front building in from the west. Let's actually back that up a little bit. After that, after we deal with the center of circulation, there's a cold front building in from the west around 5 a.m. That is going to pick up the storm and move it off towards the north and east really, really quickly. We notice we're at here 3 p.m. Thursday, and it's still in South Carolina. Then by Friday, 3 p.m., it's exiting the state of Virginia. So it's going to be building in very quickly and then moving out very quickly, which is good because that means we could potentially see lesser rain totals than anticipated. Speaking of rainfall totals, the last 3 days, some areas have seen 2 inches of rain. Some areas have seen nearly 15 inches of rain. There are some isolated spots where we've seen maybe 18 to 20 inches of rain, especially along the South Carolina and Georgia coastline between Savannah and Charleston, also spanning up into Myrtle Beach and Wilmington. We've seen Charleston, Hilton Head Island. We've seen video out of there where people are walking in the water and it's up to their knees. So lots of rainfall has occurred in those areas. Forecast rainfall for the next 2 days from the Weather Prediction Center out in the DMV area shows that areas in red will likely receive about 5 inches of rain from Raleigh to Lumberton to Fayetteville into Sanford. This also includes parts of Danville. And then areas in your purple color here anticipating closer to maybe 7 inches of rain. So let's sort of show you the rainfall forecast for the next 2 days. Again, the majority of the rain is going to fall throughout our Thursday. We'll see a couple of showers through about noon on Friday. Then we'll continue to see some lingering rain. But the heavy tropical stuff is going to be falling on our Thursday. Here's a look at the rainfall forecast from the Weather Prediction Center. They indicate that parts of Floyd, Patrick, Franklin, and Roanoke counties could see about 7 inches of rain. Now, depending on where Debby is, where the center of circulation, where the giant mess of thunderstorms is, this could easily deviate a county west, a county east, 2 counties west, 2 counties east. So the overall message is the same. Everyone needs to be prepared for about a half a foot, maybe a little bit more of rain. Now, you may ask yourself, where does the water go after it rains? Well, that's where we have our flood alerts in effect. Remember I talked about the flood warnings for downtown Roanoke, for the Roanoke River, for parts of Smith Mountain Lake, for the Dan River in and around Pittsylvania and Halifax, even into parts of Charlotte counties. The rain has to go somewhere, and this is exactly where it's going to go. And something that I do want to pull up really quickly and show you is the Danville River gauge along South Boston and Danville. So let me get those in here. This is the Danville River near Danville. Record height just above 30 feet. We're anticipating a forecast crest of 29.2 feet come 2 p.m. tomorrow. So you notice now through 8 p.m. it's going to rise almost double. But then that continuation of rain and water just flowing, it's got to go somewhere. So it's going to go to the low-lying areas. That's going to add up to 29 feet, potentially record-breaking flood stage for parts of the Danville River at Danville. Now at South Boston, it's going to be a little bit delayed because it's a little bit downstream. But still, now it's at 7 feet. By this time tomorrow, almost 23 feet. Then Saturday, the crest is going to be at nearly 30 feet, where the record is just over 33 feet. So all this water's got to go somewhere. We can actually pull in the Roanoke River as well. So let's pull that in. And the Roanoke River has been very, very low as of late. Notice below a foot right now, but anticipated to get upwards of 15 feet by 2 p.m. tomorrow. So that's where all the water's going to be going within the next 24 to 36 hours. So continuing to track the threat for water. And, okay, Weather Prediction Center has updated their graphics. Here we go. Okay, so this is brand new, brand spanking new within the last 15 minutes or so. Flash flood risk for today has expanded. The high risk has expanded into Rockbridge County now, also Highland and Bath County, Nelson counties, Amherst, Appomattox, now all included in this high risk. This is because we're expecting those rainfall amounts, anywhere from 3 to 8 inches possible, with localized areas seeing more. This could lead to a lot of flooding. Something I've been referencing back to is Hurricane Michael and the remnants that passed through there. After it made landfall in Florida, it tracked through the southeast and came through southwest and central Virginia, and Lynchburg and Southside flooded significantly. During that event, we were not under a high risk. We are now under a high risk. So hopefully that speaks volumes to you. This is the worst case scenario. Again, all of these rain totals could be up to 10 inches. That is absolute worst case scenario. But with the storm expected to pick up speed, that is good news for us. That means the rain totals will hopefully hold off and come down a little bit. But otherwise, the flash flood risk for today, also given the prior drought that we've been in, is just absolutely monumental. This could be a historical event by the time it is over with. Some tips for driving in floods. Obviously, heavy rainfall can lead to flash flooding, which is what we're anticipating. We're currently under an aerial flood watch. 6 inches of water can wipe your feet underneath of you, 12 inches can wipe away a car, especially a sedan or an SUV. Then at about 18 inches, the trucks start to have difficulty driving in the water. So something we always say is turn around, don't drown, and use common sense. We're going to continue to see these rainfall amounts add up and add up and add up, and the water is going to find the low-lying areas. I live downtown. I get off today at 1 o'clock. I am going to park my car in a parking garage overnight because I don't want the flooding to take away my car. I've got to come back in early tomorrow morning. So just a little bit of advice. If you live downtown, if you live in an area that's prone to flooding, if you live in a low-lying area, try to find that higher ground if you can, especially if you start to see flash flooding unfolding, which means water accumulating on the ground and rising up very, very quickly. So just a little bit of a tip there. The tornado risk, I believe we already talked about this. Currently tracking tornadoes in North Carolina at this time. Center of the storm is expected to go right anywhere between these two lines here. And again, the north and east side would be this giant target area here. So that's where we'll likely see some tornadoes. I do think we could see them, see a few as far west as Bedford County, possibly even parts of the Roanoke Valley, but I think the majority of the threat is further out towards the east. Give me 1 second here. All right. Current conditions out there. Martinsville, parts of the south side, seeing some rain out there. Notice behind this building, there's like a little lake, or if it's not, it looks like there's some ponding already happening from the rain. Virginia Tech's campus, the parking lot is fairly wet. Wytheville hasn't seen much rain at this time. Roanoke, seeing some sporadic come and go showers. Temperatures all day long going to be in the 70s. It's going to be humid out there. It's humid in our building right now. The cloud deck, how high the clouds are. If you haven't experienced a tropical storm or a tropical cyclone at all, you'll notice the first thing is that the clouds are super, super low. That's always one of my favorite things to see, and you'll notice they're moving really, really quickly with the circulation. Always a cool thing to see. That's something you don't really get with other weather systems. It's something that I experienced with Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Michael, Hurricane Ian within the past couple of years, and I've always thought it was really cool. But anyways, starting to see that scattered rain build in at this time. Going to continue to see it build in. Here's a look at 9 a.m. Notice parts of the Highlands, Covington, Lexington, Blacksburg, near Christiansburg, starting to see some of that lighter rain build in. Wytheville finally sees a light shower. Stewart seeing some heavy rain at around the 9 o'clock hour. Then by lunchtime, a lot of us covered in the rain. We're starting to see at least a light to moderate rain. Then this afternoon, between the hours of 2 and 7 o'clock, is when a lot of the heavy stuff really starts to enter the region. This is when that tornado threat becomes higher across some of our eastern zones. So let's sort of loop that for you there. About 11 a.m., 12 p.m. to about 5, 6 p.m. is when that tornado threat will occur in these areas. See these single cell storms built in throughout the region? That's when we'll start to see the tornado threat increase. Then going forward after that, we'll continue to see the scattered rain build throughout the region. Then by 2, 3 a.m., center of circulation somewhere around here. It's going to push off towards the north and east shortly after. With that being said, the winds are expected to again increase during that time. So I believe that is all the information I have. If there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. I believe it is Parker Beasley, WSLS10. I'm also on Twitter or X at Beasley Parker. So please feel free to reach out to me. If you have any questions, I'll be posting on both of those platforms throughout the rest of the day. And we may potentially do another live stream later on this afternoon. And if it's not me, it'll either be Edward Shaw or Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned something. I hope you stay safe. Please be mindful. Please use common sense out there today. If you haven't already, the next couple of hours or your last couple of hours to, go out, make sure you have, a flashlight, emergency food rations. If you have your medication for a couple of days, because I do think the issue here could be localized flooding, which could then lead to some power outages across Southwest and Central Virginia. So with that, we'll leave you, and of course, have a great day.